The Left Wing Backs coverage of the Carlow Hurling Championships for 2023 is brought to you in association with Talbot Fitness, Brendan Cabinet Furniture, Corcoran Precast Tanks, Milano's Takeaway Bagenalstown, Connolly's Top Line Hardware, PFT Travel, Ray Whelan Limited, Earth Spas and the Arboretum Loughlin Bridge. Hello and welcome to the latest offering here on the Left Wing Back podcast. We are already building up to the semi-finals in the Carlow Hurling Championships, senior, intermediate and junior this weekend. Of course, we're going to hear from Dion Wall of Ballinkillen, Paul Doyle of St. Mullins and Craig Doyle of Bagenalstown Gales very, very shortly indeed. Unfortunately, at the time of recording, we weren't able to source a Munster Rangers player, so we won't be hearing from the Rangers camp. But before we hear from the aforementioned Buccos, we will go through the fixtures this weekend in the Hurling Championships. So we start off with the junior first, because that's actually kicking off on Wednesday night. 7:30 out of the training centre in Fenagh, you have Munster Rangers and Ballinkillen. And then on Saturday evening at 5 o'clock in Netwatch Cullen Park, it's Burn Rangers and Killavin Clunigall. The intermediate semi-finals then Friday, Netwatch Cullen Park, 7:30, Munster Rangers versus Bagenalstown Gales. And then on Saturday at 6:45 in Netwatch Cullen Park, Naomh Moling and Naomh Owen. So a double header Saturday evening, basically, with that junior semi between Burn Rangers and Killavin Clunigall at 5, and then the intermediate semi at 6:45 between Naomh Moling and Naomh Owen. Sunday then, Carlow Senior Hurling Championship semi-finals, Netwatch Cullen Park, 2 o'clock, Munster Rangers versus Bagenalstown Gales, 3:45, Naomh Moling versus Ballinkillen. We will have some written content coming your way on the website over the next few days also. But in the meantime, let's hear from Dion Wall, Paul Doyle and Craig Doyle. Now, semi-final weekend is upon us in the Carlow Senior Hurling Championship. Ballinkillen up against St. Mullins. It's a hint of deja vu about all the fixtures this weekend. Dion Wall is captain of Ballinkillen this year. Dion, welcome on to the podcast. I think it could be the first time we had you on, is it?
I think so, Kev. It's about time now. I know you long enough. You know, never get me on.
Yeah, you're after sidestepping that one well.
Yeah, no, in fairness, no. You tried to get me on, but this wouldn't be my thing, so.
No, I know that. I 100% know that. And sometimes I question, is it my thing either? But anyway, we're still here. What's the crack with this semi-final? St. Mullins, the foreign team. No one will be giving you a hope. I'd say you'd be happy enough with that at the same time.
Sure, look, in fairness, on form, sure, you can't deny that. I suppose we will be underdogs. St. Mullins has been flying through the group stages. Last couple of years there, semi-finals, it's only been a point in a group stage, point in it. So, look, we won't fear them anyway. Geez, we'll have to respect them to put in some serious performances throughout the year. So, like, obviously the first round didn't go our way against them. They hit the ground 100 mile an hour and we were caught flat-footed, you could say. So, look, we won't fear them, but looking forward to it now.
Yeah. I'm liking what you're about in some games, and no different to yourself. I'd say not really liking what I'm seeing with other games. There is a huge level of inconsistency with you, which is obviously no more frustrating for yourself and the lads than anyone, I suppose. But when you click, you are a force, and that's probably the one thing you have to remember.
Yeah, look, that's the thing. When we click, it's a case of when we click, we're flying it. We're 100 mile an hour everywhere. Lads know what each other are doing, but it's the thing, it's the inconsistency then. It's putting it together for the full hour. Like we kind of did in spurts this year. We do 10, 15 minutes and we lack off a bit. But if we put two good halves together, or even 40, 45, 50 minutes, if we put 50 minutes together of the way we can hurl, we'll go a long way. But it's, as you said, it's that consistency that we need for the full hour.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I ask you about last weekend going into it? It must have been fairly unusual given the fact that like it wasn't going to change a whole lot apart from who you were going to play. And at the same time, it's a local derby. Like, is it a difficult one to get up for?
It's never hard to get up for a Bagenalstown match anyway, and I'm sure the Bagenalstown lads will tell you the same. I was just saying during the week, it's look, as long as both teams keep 15 on the field and no one misses out the week after, all going well, but you still have it in the back of your head going, it's still a rivalry, it's still bragging rights for the parish. But yeah, like, it was only a kind of a placing thing. You knew you still had a foot in the semi-final, so it was hard and it wasn't hard at the same time. Do you know what I mean? It has that kind of a win-win or kind of a lose-lose situation to it. Whereas you go up, you put in performance that you try to kind of keep yourself on the winning run going into the semi-final. That was a big thing. Like, you don't want to be going into a semi-final kind of losing to your parish rivals, but it is what it is now. We're in the semi-final, so we'll see what happens.
Can I ask you a question? When you went up to Kieran Whelan, were you telling him to go for goal or put it over?
I got a shout from the boys to go up and go for goal, and I ran the whole way up, and Kieran says to me, he's after saying there's 90 seconds left. I said, so tap it over. So it was just more just I have to fucking run back now. It was a long way to run up to have an old talk with Kieran, so it was.
Yeah. You could have the point with afterwards too, but it was an interesting enough old game, I suppose, in one sense. Not that it really matters a whole lot now, but just to hit a bag of wides Bagenalstown did in the first 10 minutes or that, like, and yeah, funny sort of one. But you'd know, like, to be honest with you, even though it was 20 sort out places, I actually thought it was a really enjoyable game now, and there was some good hurling in it, like one of the better ones.
Yeah, like, it's very hard on the field to kind of see it. Even I do have the father saying, "Oh, the forward should have done this or this lad should have done that," and it's just I can't see it from my end. But look, there was some great passages of play. In fairness, Bagenalstown are moving well. They were dragging us all over the field in the full back line, especially. There was loads of space in there, but like, it was nice to hurl on a dry evening as well, because there was some of the nice there. Even you're going training and it's raining, and then you're going play matches and it's raining. You're kind of starting to think, are we going to get summer at all? Maybe the footballers were right going second. I have to go to it.
Yeah. I've seen someone saying there wasn't one day in July without rain at some stage, and apparently the hurling is first because of the weather and the ground and all that, but I don't know if that's still up to form this year. You mentioned there that obviously you're concentrating on your thing, and your old boy is giving the socks over on the terrace there, as do a lot of Ballinkillen lads, and I had the pleasure of being in their company obviously a few times, because they do set up kind of close to the press box. They do sit in or whatever. A few matches, he joined me there a few weeks ago. What game was it? The Rangers game. Val Brooks came in, John Doyle came in, Tommy Doyle came in. Your old boy wasn't too far away, and it was the maddest thing ever, because they were calm as anything before the game. Next thing the ball is thrown in, and it's like someone just flicks a switch and they just go absolutely psychopathic. And then at half time they come back in and the switch is turned off again and they're normal. And then the ball is thrown in and they just go back into it. I don't know, is it a me, myself and Irene thing or what the crack is, but I tell you, boy, they're vocal anyway, and they'll definitely be heard.
In fairness, all the lads up there, they'll be at all the games. In fairness to them, win, lose, like if you had nothing to play for in the last round, the lads would always still be there. You'll always hear them anyway, so you know they're there. But look, it'd be worse if they weren't going, but it's great to have them up there, in fairness.
Yeah. Is there any truth in the rumour that your old lad took a tumble on the terrace a few weeks ago?
Oh, he did. The whole place asking me after, was it just your old lad already? He took an old tumble there. I don't know what happened, but he stuck the foot into one of the steps. He didn't make the step anyway, and he's took a tumble.
Rolling down the terrace, knee gone out of trousers.
Yeah, that happens there. And he came home. I shouldn't have worn me good trousers, he says. So,
lad, gas man. Yeah, gas man. I know what Craig played senior with him. Did you get to hurl him at all?
No, he was gone. I was 2 years after Craig, so he was gone. I think just after the year. I think it was more retired when Craig run for the ball and he shouted, "Daddy, Daddy." I think that retired them all together then.
What did he do? He grabbed him and he said, "Don't you ever fucking call me that again," or something. He said.
Bro, home after, "I never fucking called me daddy on the field again," he says.
Oh, lad, that is absolute gold.
That could have seen him out the door, lad. I think that was enough for him to say, right, it's time to pack it in now.
Yeah. Jenny Mac. I'd say he'd be still good for 20 minutes or a half an hour for the juniors. He's not hurling with them though, is he?
Oh, Jesse's not. No, Jesse's not.
Yeah, I'd say he's good.
He gets wound up enough on the sideline, lad. Jesse's not, leave him out there.
Yeah. So look, back to this one, I suppose, like, it was damn close to Ballinkillen Bagenalstown final last year, and there's huge odds on that happening, right? You're both going in big underdogs this weekend, as we know. But geez, you must be absolutely buzzing for it. I know your preparation last year wasn't ideal on a personal level. Team preparation was great, but like weeks like this are literally, I think there's only a couple of weeks maybe where you can just get that graw for it. Like I get it just commentating on it or talking about it, and build up. But it must be unbelievable, the playing. Like, you must be just pumped the whole week. Are you just, what way are you like about it?
Well, you know me now personally, Kev. You know, I'm fairly chill with that whole thing. But no, it's good. It's good to be facing into semi-final week because it's proper championship hurling. There's only one. You've only one shot at, so it's gung ho come Sunday evening. And especially the build up during the week. Even say training now tomorrow evening, you'll hit the field. There'll be lads up hooking balls there for half an hour before training and after training, and has a proper real championship feel to it. Whereas the round robin games are kind of like, myself, I'm kind of like, right, 5 weeks on the trot, I'm going to try keep it as fresh as possible. So I'd nearly play the game on a Saturday myself, and I'd go cold turkey then. I wouldn't even look at the hurl until Tuesday and then get back into it. But this week especially, because it's the feel of proper championship hurling now, mad for road all week now, and all the boys will be the same in fairness.
And Pat back this year, just a word on Pat. Like, Pat is a great man to motivate you, in fairness, isn't he? Like, he always finds a way of getting into your head. And I know sometimes you'd probably be thinking, what is it? Like, he'd deliberately have you confused in a good way.
Yeah, and he'd only laugh at you. Like, he'd tell you something, or especially he'd be ringing me there on Monday evenings Monday mornings after the weekend of the hurling and all, and he'd be coming out with jokes, and he'd be kind of going, is this lad mad or what? Like, but you know, he has a way of thinking around. Like, he's trying to get you thinking kind of outside the box. Like, you know, no, I've great time for Pat, especially as a manager, and Tony as well. The lads are great up there, to be fair to them. Yeah,
and Dunbar is in there as a selector, but sure, he's kind of doing more playing now. It's than anything, like the last couple of games, the rest of they're panning out.
He's having things we're talking about it earlier in the year. So just are they after retiring Dunbar by naming him as a selector or what? Because I didn't hear him actually saying I'm not playing next year or anything like that. The next one then WhatsApp Dunbar as a selector. You're going, Jesus, are the boys after retiring him or what?
Yeah, and he's not moving too bad in fairness, though, for a selector. But anyway, yeah, there's a few more. Frank Foley, another one. So I suppose it's selector. They're doing all right in fairness now. They're doubling up well. Dion, look, I'll leave it at that. The best luck the weekend, and thanks for having a chat with us here. All right.
Cheers, Kev. Thanks very much.
Now, I haven't spoken with Dion Wall a short time ago, and now joined by Paul Doyle of St. Mullins. Who'd actually know Dion quite well. It's a small enough cohort, this championship. Sure, it's basically a South Carlow championship, Paul, isn't it?
Surely is, yeah. Kevin, thanks for having me on, and I appreciate that. Surely do know Dion fairly well. Serious character, in fairness to him, serious hurler too. Sure, looking to get the better of him now this weekend.
That's it. That's what it's all about, lad. Yeah, you'd be in the full-back Hall of Fame together there in a few years' time.
That's it. Yeah, plenty of broken hurlers, I'd say, inside that place as well. Click them all up.
Paul, it's a pleasure to have you on, and thanks for taking the call. It's a busy week, no doubt, but you guys have been absolutely flying it this year, and much has been made in previous years, I suppose, about St. Mullins' ability to peak at the right time. They didn't care too much about the group stages. I'll tell you one thing, it's polar opposite this year by either design or default, I don't know, but you've been very impressive in fairness, like.
Yeah, it was going fairly well, in fairness, Kevin. Like, happy out now to get into the semi-final. Like, coming first, like, here we don't really mind too much where we come really in St. Mullins, like, as long as we're getting through to the semi-final. Like, that's the goal of the league stages of it, really. And just this year, really lucky enough now, some of the games that we're after getting off to good starts, like, and kind of been able to build up a little bit of a lead, like, you know, and have a bit of a cushion. But like, in all the games, we have tough games now, the last few weeks. But luckily, anyway, the last few games we have come out on the right side, and we have coming first. Like, really, I don't remember ever coming first. Now, really first, like, realistically, like, but like in 2 weeks' time, like, no one really remembers like the league stages, or you know, like this, and that's always what we used to kind of reference, like the past years, like who really minds about coming first in the group. Like, all you want is to have the cup back with you, back in the parish. Like, that's all that really matters. Like, at the end of the day, like, and like realistically, like the championship is only getting going now on Sunday. That's when it's really kicking off for us, really.
Yeah. I think you've brought consistency to the whole thing this year with your performances, which is obviously very pleasing, because it's not always easy week on week. You know, personally, maybe you're coming and going. The level of opposition, the standard of opposition is different from week to week too. But you've maintained that fairly consistently across the board, which is, you know, it has to be pleasing, like.
Yeah, no, it is great in fairness. That we're after coming out on the right side of each of the games. Which is brilliant. That's the aim. You know, every day you go out, like you want to be putting your best foot forward and getting the wins, like. But like other years that wouldn't have happened for us, like, and you would have got a kick in the arse in the group stages, and really get yourselves going then, like, you know. But like the issue we'll have now is just to kind of try to keep maintaining that and keep that consistency going, because like it's not an easy thing to do, really. It's just to make sure you have the appetite every day to go out and try to get a win for your team. And I don't think we'll be lacking it anyway on Sunday anyway, because you know that's like, as I said, like that's when you really want to get going, like.
Absolutely, lad. Well, sure. Look, I suppose it's a question that I wanted to ask a St. Mullins man for a while. Being down there, I suppose, like everyone says, Rangers is obviously quite close to you, but at the same time, like you are nestled down there. It's easy to keep a low profile. I don't know how often you bump into people, how often you don't bump into people. Are you actually in the town at the minute yourself, or are you still down in St. Mullins?
No, I'm actually down in St. Mullins now. Yeah, I moved back home there. Sure, when was it? 2 years ago, I think it was. Yeah, so back home now. Yeah, sure, we're down there now, and sure, it's very quiet down here too. Like, you know, you wouldn't be like, it's as if you're like in the street of Urs or street of Bagenalstown when you're bumping into people the whole time. The only place you really see people will be up in the pitch, whenever you're training, like the 2 times a week or whatever. And sure, mostly that's the boys you're hurling with, like, so it's not too bad. Like, so luckily enough, we don't have that too much of an issue that way. Like, you know, the only people that are talking to you about the games will be your family. And they're well warned not to be lying you.
Yeah. And you know what the other gas thing is? Like every time you go into Dr. Cullen, what are you 40, 45 minutes in Dr. Cullen, roughly?
45, yeah. 45 would be it, yeah, 100%.
Like it's a fair spin, but sure, you nearly have an away day vibe about every journey. So there must be good crack going in the car, like, and stuff, which is a very underrated part of playing, I think, is the journey to a game, like.
Oh, you're right, Kev. Yeah, 100%. Like, sure, we travel, we kind of carpool. Like most of the players, kind of go up in 2s and 3s and stuff, like, you know. So you'd have your few lads that you go with the whole time, and like you might have a match on Sunday, you get a text on Saturday, sure, I'll drive this week, you drive the next week, or whatever, like, you know. And she just said, yeah, you're not gonna be a crack over. And the best thing about it is that kind of takes the mind off the game then, and sure, you're talking you could be talking about anything, like, you know, you fall into Carlow Hurling Club, parking up, like, and sure, then you just start thinking about the match, really, like, which is a nice way to have it, like, because you know yourself, like, some games you can nearly start thinking about too much, like, and have the game played 4 or 5 times before you even get on the pitch. Sure, your head will be melted at that stage. So it's going to have the likes of a Gary Bennett character there now to take your head off the match, in fairness.
Yeah, there's only for radio in that car anyway.
No, 100%, lad. There's no lack of chat anyway.
Yeah, and I suppose even sure the way home is, you know, you're dissecting it. You have an early part again, you get home, whereas other times maybe you're getting home and you're trying to remember what actually happened, but you're nearly settled again, you get in the door, I suppose. Do you miss games in McGrath Park at all? Because, like, for me growing up, it was a great championship venue. I know there's a lot of work going into the place there at the minute. It's a little bit closer for ye. Any particular thoughts on that or review on that, no?
I definitely, like, sure, McGrath Park was brilliant to have games there, like, you know, with the wall there, the wall around the whole field. It just kind of brought it as if it was kind of like really a lot tighter or something. I don't know what it was. Yeah. It was big enough pitch when you're out on it, like, you know, marking a nippy corner forward, you know about it. But like, the pitch, in fairness, is kind of, it just seems a bit tighter, and like people up on the bank as well. And it's good to get a good atmosphere there too. Like, you know, you might necessarily have massive numbers, but just with the size of the place, it kind of seemed as if like it was more of a crowd there, and the crowd are in the top of you as well, which is great. Now I would have only played a few games there, I'd say back 13, 14. Maybe a bit of 15, maybe that. I'm not too sure really, but like, you would miss it definitely. Yeah, you know, like it is a bit of a pain in the ways having to travel the whole way up to Carlow to go to the matches, like. But it's just, you just come accustomed to it now, like, and you get used to it, like, you know. I think it's been good for the intermediates though this year. I think it was only after starting this year anyway that they're after having home and away games, which is brilliant. Yeah. And I went to a few of the boys' matches there up in the field, and sure, you're getting a lot more support. You're getting a lot more of the locals coming up to games too. Like I don't think it's a lot of people would have no interest really in going up on a Saturday and a Sunday to an intermediate game and a senior game. You know, you're asking a lot of people to go up both evenings and maybe giving in a tenner each day. Yeah. If you just have one of the games locally, like, you know, and then one of them going the next day up in Carlow. Like that's a lot less to be asking the people. And I think it's a brilliant thing the county board did this year. Like just having the junior do it already. I know that much, but like the intermediate having that there too. Like the lads are happy out playing games at home as well. Like it's brilliant to have more of a crowd up. Like and sure, just that more of a championship feel to it. Like I think, to be honest, like you want to have crowds, you want to have people there looking at the games. Like
yeah, no, for sure, man, for sure. What's it like below on the field? I suppose like what it's like being in with the county and all that, coming up again. The boys, Mouse, James, Chris with the county. But like you have a lot of those guys within your own club there too that I'm just after calling out, and I haven't mentioned Mr. Boland yet or Conor Keogh. Like a man that slips under the radar the whole time for me is Jason O'Neill. His form in big games is always incredible. Like you guys, there's hardly a night in training where you're not kept on your toes in some way, like because them boys will test you.
Oh, stop, Kevin. You don't want to know about like some of the stuff that's going on in the pitch. Like, like we try to play a bit of a 15 on 15, like whenever we can, like, and so like the lads even marking, like they're serious hurdles, like, and like so many games you be coming home out training, like a lad could be scoring 2-3 or 2-4 off you, and you're like, what am I at here at all, like, but that's what you want. It's brilliant, like, like. It's brilliant to be able to mark the likes of some of the fellas you named there, but there's plenty of other lads there too, like sure Seamus there as well, Seamus Murphy, like sure, like that you'll be after marking him in fairness. But there's a few of the lads there as well, like like up and coming fellas there too, like lads you mentioned already, like but like they're and even with the county as well, loads, like some of the boys there are outrageous. Like some of the boys be coming up against this weekend, I'd say, like the likes of Jack Tracy, these fellas, like they're serious hurdles, like I'm sure that's the best thing about it, like you want to be marking the best, really get the best out of yourself too, like and it's the only way to have it, because if you didn't have that challenge going to train every evening, then it wouldn't be enjoyable. And like you wouldn't be going to the field if it wasn't enjoyable then,
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, there's as I've said previously, and I said to Dion there earlier, like it is very much a deja vu type of weekend. It's mad the way literally they're the same fixtures. And I think you were the second game last year as well, if memory serves me correct. It's literally copy and paste sort of a job, like. And it was a bit of a nail biter in the end, that one, from memory. So, like, are you expecting something kind of similar, puck football sort of a job?
Oh, 100%, definitely. Like, the game we're going to have tomorrow or on Sunday, like, is going to be completely different to the first game in the league stages, I think. Like Ballinkillen have a lot of fellas back as the championship has gone on. They've added more people in, like, so, and I found it's great to see some of them lads coming back too, like, because some of them had a hard time at the start of the year in terms of injuries and stuff, and you don't want to see lads on the line, like some of the hurlers they have, like they're brilliant, like they're excellent, and you want to see them on the field, like and like if you're playing a team, you want to see them with a full hand rather than a half, like missing 2 or 3 fellas, like that could be their best players. Like you want to see, like, challenge yourself against the best, as we were saying earlier, we're going to have a very, very tough game this weekend. Like last year, like you could have slipped away on us very, very quickly. Like Craig got the goal, and luckily we got 2 points there to finish it off and get the win, but it could have went south fairly quickly there. Now like they could have won the break off that puck out and brought it down the field and got a second point, and you go up by 2 then very quickly, like and that deflates you. But it's a game of hurling, like just like it's so ebbs and flows, like it's we're like we came out with last year, but we're anticipating like it's going to be a very, very tough game, and we're going to come up against a different animal that we've seen earlier in the championship.
Yeah. Look, obviously you're not really too interested in the other semi-final, but if I was to put you on the spot, do you give Bagenalstown a big chance maybe of reversing that result earlier, or are Rangers going to be sore after last year's semi-final?
It's going to be a tight game too, like really, really hard to call. The likes of Bagenalstown, really, they are a common team. Like a lot of the younger fellas, like I would have seen a good few of them in school, like, and sure, getting to know them as well. Like a lot of the lads, like I would have had them in class, like McCullough there and Niall Bulger, these boys, like in second and third year maths, like an eight in the head off them, like for not bringing in their homework or copying homework and stuff like this, and ringing their parents on it, and then. Now it's McCullough, like in the full back line with me, like it's gas. It's mad how things turn around, like, but sure, I see the work the boys do, like they're serious hurlers. They take their hurling, they want to do the best, like and they want to kind of get over that line as well. So I should the same with Rangers too, like they're hurting, and like, they definitely are, like, and sure, like they have quality all throughout that team. So it's gonna be a tough game, I'd say, for like both semi-finals. They're going to be very, very competitive anyway, because I think it's very hard to call both, really, I'd say. Definitely the other one, I'd say, as well, is going to be very hard. take call.
Yeah. Well, listen, Pete, we wish you the very best luck, and thanks for taking the call. All right.
Sound, Kev. Take care. Thanks for having me on, lad.
Semi-final weekend it is, and as you mentioned, it is a case of deja vu with the pairings. First up, of course, on Sunday is Munster Rangers versus Bagenalstown Gales. The man to the other side of the screen is obviously Mr. Craig Doyle. How are you doing, sir?
Good, yeah, good. Thanks for having me. It's been a while.
Has indeed, yeah. Probably coming up on a 3-year anniversary, I would say, since the my time in the Gansey thing. I actually never really had a good chat with you after that. Did you get much abuse, or did you get much feedback on it?
I didn't get too much. No, I didn't get too much. The boys are all fairly sound about it, in fairness. But, no, it was good. It was a good experience.
I always thought there's a gas thing about you Parmora boys. You're all great now in a group, but when it comes to it, you're afraid of a bit of abuse, and I think when it's a one-on-one job. But you braved it up, in fairness to you, I'll give you that.
Yeah. No, it was good. It was good. No. I was glad to do it. It's nice to be involved in something like that.
Yeah. I know, but sure, look, we picked John Merritt, in fairness, and for a lad that didn't want to do it, I thought it was actually a cracking episode and a good series. Maybe we'll go back at it again. We're fairly busy though with this club stuff, as are you.
Yes.
It's quite a heavy format, like game to game, week on week. Obviously tough on the body, yeah.
Yeah, tough, especially I suppose an outlet like me, as I think it was Kieran Whelan told me Friday night. He asked me, was I 50? Yeah. But no, it is. It's a condensed season, all right, 7 weeks. It's tough going on the body. If you pick up a knocks, you could miss 2 or 3 rounds there fairly quick. But then, on the flip side of it, someone like myself up the far end of the age scale, or you have a bit of a family and that, it's nice to be able to just plan your summer around those kind of, those 7 weeks. Keeps the missus happy, then you can book a holiday. Whereas on the old format, yourself, it's 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there. And then, I don't know if you remember it, but we used to have, maybe 2 rounds back at like March or April time, really early in the year. And then to be nothing maybe for 2 months, that was worse. Like, so, look, I like the format. It suits someone like me. I think it suits most lads as long as you don't pick up an injury, to be honest. I suppose the only thing is, the footballers probably would like to be going first too, but that's obviously out of our control. We don't decide who goes first or who goes second. But for someone only playing the one sport, it's ideal just to have those few weeks just in the one block, get out of the way.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it as well. It's gas. I think there was a vote there at some stage, and they voted to keep it, like not to flip it around. Yeah. And I don't really know the whole line of thinking behind that, because obviously we're winning the Senior Hurling Championship is at a bit of a disadvantage going into Leinster, and the weather was another thing mentioned, and July's after been an absolute fucking disaster.
Yeah, it's been bad. Since the kids finished school nearly, it's just been constant rain. But I think you're right though. I think there was a vote, and I think even the football clubs voted for the hurling to go first. The sole football clubs like your Air Oaks and Raffilis. Now I don't know the ins and outs of it, but they're obviously thinking Leinster as well, running into Leinster. Yeah. Whereas, look at St. Mullins there last year, I think they could have been 12 or 14 weeks of a gap or something mad, between winning the county championship and then, playing first round of Leinster. So, it's hard to juggle with something like that. Now you're nearly, you're finishing your Carlow championship for the likes of that, and then you're probably nearly starting like a second preseason all over again in 12 weeks, like, so tough to manage. But look, it's obviously they didn't mind after winning the county championship. It was something to look forward to.
Yeah. J1s, I suppose, might be a reason that people put out there, but I don't know. Has hurling clubs been hit with that many J1s in general this summer? I don't think there doesn't seem to be too many missing. Like,
no, it doesn't. Our club doesn't anyway. No. We just got caught with lads going on holidays in the middle of the championship. That's another thing. Look, there was a couple of boys had a couple of holidays booked and that. That's fair enough. Lads have lives outside of hurling as well. I think we lost Clarkey there for 3 weeks through work and so on. But that's what clubs are for, and that's what your panel is for. Lads, like I'd always say, like, lads have lives outside of the park and so on, and you have to live as well. You can't just block yourself off from it all. So that's, like I said, that's what a panel is for. Lads come in, they do a job there for 2 or 3 weeks. Then other lads are gone on holidays, and the next lad comes back in. So look, it is what it is. But we've been lucky in terms of J1s. We haven't really lost a whole lot over the years.
Yeah. I think it's an interesting one. Obviously, there was a good bit of talk about that Division 1 Football League final with, blocks kind of put to one side. Maybe, I don't want to put words in Steve O'Mara's mouth now, but I think his line of thinking might have been like, I would prefer if you could take your holidays in around these few weeks, because I want all of you together at the one time, which I kind of get. And then I also get the other side where lads have to have lives and stuff. I suppose, you know, I'm every week giving out about the format of the hurling championship, and you can't really do a whole lot when there's only 6 teams, of course. But
exactly.
If you did some sort of a tweak on that, lads might think twice about taking that holiday if there's a bit more at stake, because as you saw last week, now I think in fairness that's the first time it's happened for a long time where there hasn't been a dice for at least one spot. I don't know, does that take away from lads like the thought, geez, I can't go on a holiday here, you know, we've a bit of work to do here still, sort of a thing, whereas most now think, look, I'll get away with it, or if we target these couple of games we're going to go through. I don't know, it's just something that I kind of got a little bit frustrated with. But then if you look at the game that G had last Friday, that was an absolute cracker, and you could argue that there was very little at stake, like, you know.
Oh yeah, 100%. It was like Ballinkillen will tell you the same. Like we were both in the semi-final and going into the last round of the league stages. If that's what you want, like you want to be in a semi-final, you don't want to be going in there local derby, either of us or them. You know, going in there thinking, here, look, we can knock Bagenalstown out here tonight, or same with us, we can knock Ballinkillen out here tonight. You take great pride in that, like, you know, as much as like the lads on the team, and we're friendly enough with all of them, as you know, like we're very close in terms of, you know, proximity to where we live and stuff. And there's some lads on our team, great friends with lads on their team. My cousin plays in the goal, you know, but there's still bragging rights up for grabs, you know, in that sense. But in that instance, like, yeah, both of us are in the semi-final. I think if you had said to us at the start of the campaign, you're going into the last round, you're playing Ballinkillen, or said to Ballinkillen, you're playing Bagenalstown, but you'll be in a semi-final, we'd have took hand and all, you know, no matter who you'd say you'd be playing in the semis. I don't think either of us would have minded, you know. That's just, you know, job on, done, get to a semi-final, and we'll take it from there. So, yeah, there wasn't, like you said, there wasn't much at stake, but yeah, it was a right game. We've been hit and miss, more miss now throughout the campaign so far, but we were very similar in that sense last year. I don't know what it is, whether it's a mentality thing or what, or like you said, the lads think, you know, we'll target 2 or 3 games and we'll be okay. I don't know. It's hard to put a finger on it when you're from Bagenalstown, what exactly it is. But yeah, no, last week was a good game to be involved in. It was fairly free flowing for a long time. So yeah, it'll probably stand to us now coming into next week. Same with Ballinkillen, it'll probably stand to them going into their game, rather than, I suppose, you look at the other 2 games and they're a bit of a whitewash in a sense, you know. So yeah.
Did you have a word with Thomas after the game, yourself or Jake? Maybe especially Jake after the couple of goals, or send him a text or that? No.
Well, we were texting yesterday actually during the football final. But no, the 2 of us were in agreement. We were just kind of dogging Clifford more so than anything. There wouldn't be anything like that. Ballinkillen have given us a right few beatings over the years as well. So, you know, you take it with a pinch of salt. What goes around comes around, and as you probably know yourself, it doesn't be long coming back around to you. So yeah, no, there doesn't ever be anything really said, to be honest. It's just we walk off and that's it. It's done and dusted. Yeah.
I have to talk to you about Jake's goal scoring this year. I think he's got 6 or 7, probably in around that territory. Talking up young lad the week before championship is not exactly what you want, especially when it's your brother, of course. But he can handle it. He's a tough bit of stuff, no different to yourself back in the day. The thing I loved about the other day in particular, for that, I think it was the first goal he got, just the gamble he took on the ball breaking in over the top. You could sense that it was going to happen. And I'll double that up then in general by saying, just the fact that he goes for the jugular the whole time. So many forwards don't do it. You used to do it yourself. You still do it if you gain around for a chance, right? But when the spark of pace was a little bit probably greater than what it is now, like it was, you know what I'm saying. Like, isn't it just a great attribute to have that is your natural instinct, like?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like you said, it's that taking a chance. It's not even like it's a bit of know-how as well, you know. But you need a lot of luck with things like that, you know. And like you said, like a lot of luck down through the years myself as well. You know, you make a run today and it lands in your lap, and you could make that same run 10 times throughout the rest of the championship, and the ball could just bounce the other way, and that's, you know, you look silly then. But yeah, look, he's very confident in that sense. Alright, when he gets in there, he'll take it on. You know, he won't shy away from it. You know, Paddy Mack the same in the other corner last week as well. You know, loves a goal. So yeah, when they get in and they get their chances, you know, that they can take them. For us, it's just getting them the chances. Really, is the big thing. You know, and that's obviously the hard part. But yeah, no, they're very confident in that sense.
And just to finish up, one last question on yourself. You mentioned family come into the equation all of a slap. Obviously the years are trucking on. Do you place a greater enjoyment on the game? Are you looking at it now a little bit differently than what you were a few years ago because of all these things?
Yeah, 100%. My outlook in on hurling over the last, I suppose, I'm trying to think where age the oldest one is now. You put me on the spot. I think she's like 7 going on 8 in October. But she's really got into it the last kind of 2 to 3 years, and the middle one then is following just behind. But yeah, for me, it's to see them on standing on the sideline looking in, and the questions I get when I come home, and what was it? She said, "How are you so bad against Mullins? And I hope you don't get them again." These are all the little things that they're coming out with, and so on, and this kind of stuff. So for me, like, life outside of hurling is, it's completely different than what it was a couple of years back. A couple of years back, I had time to, to dwell on these things and let them get inside your head and annoy you. Whereas now, you're in the door, and like that, you're just, the silly questions, if you like, are going to come, and, oh, I hope you score more goals the next day and all this, So it's a completely different outlook. And like I said, for me, just to have them at the games is, it's massive for me, to be honest. And you get it's definitely a different sense of achievement, or it's more, a proud kind of a thing than anything, going into this year, like, if I just get back to, one more semi-final, please God, if we could get back to one more final, what it'd mean to the kids more so is, it's massive for me. So it is, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's deadly, and definitely takes a sting over afterwards, like 100%. The innocence of what you said there, like, you know what I mean? And no, that's class, man. I think that's what the whole thing is about, really. So yeah, look, that's probably a decent enough way to finish up here, because we could go on all night. I could talk to you about Rangers all night. I know Bagenalstown's feelings on Rangers. I also know Rangers' feelings on Bagenalstown. So I won't fuck that up before it's the ball pucked. All I can say, Craig, is the very best luck, and great to have a chat with you here again on the pod. All right, thank you.
Lovely, Kev. Thanks a million.
The Left Wing Backs coverage of the Carlow Hurling Championships for 2023 is brought to you in association with Talbot Fitness, Brendan Kavanagh Furniture, Corcoran Precast Tanks, Milano's Takeaway Bagenalstown, Connolly's Top Line Hardware, PFT Travel, Ray Whelan Limited, Earth Spas, and the Arboretum Loughlin Bridge.